Hey everyone, this is James from Team Ham, aka Taicho. It's been a while since I've done another deck profile for you guys, but today I wanted to bring this Royal Paladin deck profile for y'all for premium, focusing on the Blaster, specifically Majesty Lord Blaster. So hopefully you guys enjoy. And without further ado, let's get right into it. First of all, let me just say that because this is premium, we have our gift markers we have to worry about, and the main one you're going to be dealing with is Force 1 right here. Into the deck itself, we have 4 of the main grade 3 boss unit, Majesty Lord Blaster. He's your main grade 3 you want to be on. He is an 18k base as long as you have Blaster Dark and Blaster Blade in the soul on both players' turns. And on your turn, he gets an extra drive and an extra crit, which is nice. And whenever he would swing, you put 2 rear guards into the soul to get an extra 2 force markers. He's the main force marker generator. He is the main boss you want to be sitting on at all times. If you sit on any other grade 3 with this deck, you're not going to have a good time. And the other grade 3 I run are 2 of the Field Feather Dragon. He allows you to draw cards equal to the number of open rear guards you have, or rear guard circles, and then you have to call from your hand the same number of cards that you drew. So with him, I'll usually, on my grade 3 turn with MLB, I'll have 4 empty rear guard circles, so I'll be able to draw 4 cards and then call 4. Most likely I'm going to call units that I can swing with and then put into soul with this guy right here. So, really cool tech card. I like it a lot in the deck. And then for our grade 2s, obviously you have to run the blasters themselves, Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark, because you need both of them in the soul to be able to get this guy's 18k off. I was running 4 at first, but after much playtesting with the deck, I felt that running 4 of each was just a little clunky. I kept drawing too many copies of them, and I just wasn't a fan. So instead of running the 4, I actually took 1 away from each of these, and I run another grade 2 blaster, the Blaster Blade Seeker. So I don't run Think Saver in this deck, as you noticed. However, I usually use Blaster Blade Seeker for a second skill, which is at the end of the battle he attacked. If you didn't ride that turn, so past your grade 3 turn after you rode, you get to put, if he's on, after he swings, you put him on the bottom of the deck, and you get to draw an extra card. He allows you to draw extra cards in the deck, and he also has the Blaster name, which is very important for other searches we run in the deck, hence why I run the 2 of instead of the 4 and 4 of the Blaster Blade and Dark. It's been pretty solid for me. And then, speaking of searchers, I run 4 of the grade 2 favored pupil of Light and Dark Lu. He is the main grade 2 searcher for the deck for any of the blaster pieces you need. Because if he's boosted by specifically the grade 1 Barkle, which is this guy right here, or if he's boosted by the crit trigger Flogel, which is this beautiful little dog right here, you get to, at the end of the battle, put him into soul for counterblast 1 to search for any grade 2 blaster unit and give it plus 3k. So it can be either Seeker, it could be the Blaster Blade you're missing, or the Blaster Dark you're missing for your 18k base Majesty Lord Blaster. So we run him for that. We also run him because he's not a GB restricted unit, so you can do your early rush plays with him if you see him with one of the other 2 cards. So I run him as a 4 of in the deck. And the last grade 2 that I run, which I've actually been really happy with, is Knight of Chivalry Rebel. So I don't really use him for his first skill, which protects the back row rear guards from being retired. I actually use it for the on placement during the main phase on rear guard circle. You can counterblast 1, return any non-grade 2 unit, so that matters, any non-grade 2 to the bottom of the deck to draw 2 cards, and then you call 1 from hand. Well, if you're going to call 1 from hand anyway, you might as well call him, return something, and draw 2. So I mainly use him in the deck to return any kind of triggers that might be in your hand that you want back in your deck. Specifically, I use him to return the over trigger. So, for example, I will call him out to rear guard. Well, I'll call out the over trigger from hand if I drew it, and then I'll call this grade 2 right here, return him to the bottom of the deck to draw 2 more cards, and then call another card from hand. So that's his main purpose in the deck. It's been really solid. I've drawn the over trigger so many times, and then having him as an option to put it back, it's just great. So that's why I run him as a 3 of. And then for the grade 1s, we have, for searchers, will be 4 Wingle Braves grade 1s. So when his attack or the attack he boosted hits a Vanguard, You can look at 7 cards on the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 blaster card from among them, and add it to hand. So again, you can search for, if you're gray stuck and you're missing your 3, if he hits, you can potentially search for your 3. If you're missing one of the gray 2s, like I showed earlier, you can search for one of these guys, add it to your hands. Very versatile, very much needed in a blaster deck. Any blaster deck you're playing, you're going to need this as a 4 of. I've seen people try to get away with 3, but then they don't really, but then when they don't see it, it hurts. So to maximize seeing it as early as possible, max out a 4 of. And then we also run, because our grade 3 is very important, we run 4 of the Laurel Knight Sislis from V-Era, because on placement, he can search top 5 cards of your deck for grade 3 and add it to hand. And obviously your main target is him. However, another use for him, if you're looking for more defense for the early game, like say you're playing against an Excel deck and they're trying to rush you down, you can use him to search for your grade 3 Heal Guardian right here. So that way you can guard with your Heal Guardian when your opponent's trying to rush you and either give your Vanguard an extra 10k boost for the turn or minus the current attacking unit to crit. So, but keep in mind with these, you can only use their defensive effects if you're a grade 2 or less, if you haven't rolled a grade 3 yet. And then the last grade 1 I run is 4 of the Blaster Friend Barkle. If a Blaster Blade grade 2, so specifically has to be the original Blaster Blade name, if he's called in the same column as him and your Vanguard is a Blaster, you get to countercharge 1. This is your main countercharge, your main way to get Counterblast back in the deck. There's really no other way to countercharge in this deck, and I honestly haven't been having too much of an issue with counterblasting. But just a heads up, if you want to build this deck, Blaster specifically, this is one of the best countercharges they have because of how free it is. You just have to need a specific grade 2 Blaster Blade and then a Blaster Vanguard. So it's great. And then for triggers, I kept flashing him to y'all, but I'm running 4 of the Heal Guardians. We're trying to get to grade 3, so I feel that these are way more valuable than just the 20k shield heal triggers. And then we run the 4 draw PGs, because drawing extra cards is nice, and having it in perfect guard form, just much better in my opinion. And then for crits, we run the 7 crits right here. So at first I was doing 4 and 3, and because I felt that striding was really important, but as I've done many play testing with this deck, I found that I'd rather see her more often, not only for the grade 2 Lu to be able to do his skill more consistently, but she's also part of your kill shot turn, for she allows you to stand Blaster Blade, the grade 2, the original one specifically, after he attacks. So you can counterblast, put her back in the deck, shuffle, and restand the Blaster Blade. Very important for kill turns. And then we just have the 3 stride fodder crits because, well, we do need to stride. As you notice, we didn't have very many 3s, so very, very important to be able to stride with 1 card. And as you saw earlier, for the over trigger, we run the Keter Sanctuary over trigger. Drawing extra cards, drive checking extra cards, way more beneficial than just giving 2 units 100 million power in this deck. And our starter is Good Boy Barkle. And let's get into the Stride deck. So for the Stride deck, it's pretty straightforward. We run 4 Holy Dragon, Crystal Luster Dragon. MVP of the deck, copies your Heart's ability. Also gives your whole field a guard restricted, your opponent dropping 3 or more from hand, as long as you control 3 or more grade 2 or greater units, so he counts as one of them. So if you stride over him, you do his ability, flip anything, you have now all the abilities of the Majesty Lord. So his extra drive, extra power, extra crit is all on top of this guy. And then if you're a GB3, he gets the guard restrict. So that's why I was saying earlier, this is your boss. This is the guy you want to be on at all times. And this is the whole strategy of the deck. You just go Crystal Luster into him and just try to kill your opponent with that guard restrict if possible. And then for other stride slots, we run 2 of the Alfred Holy Saver. He allows you to, by flipping a copy, counterblasting 1, discarding, you give your Blaster Blade rear guard, any Blaster Blade name rear guard, plus 3k and the ability to twin drive 1 on their first attack. So you can give it to your original Blaster Blade, swing with that twin drive, and then swing for him for that triple drive. And that's mainly all you do with him. In case you have that extra slot that you're able to just go in for those extra drive checks, you just go into him. And then we run 2 Gant slots. I've been told by many people, many of my friends, I should only run 1 because he's mainly a flip target for the Crystal Luster right here. But I like to have him as a 2 of, for the reason that I'll flip 1 for the Crystal Luster, and then there have been some games where going into a Crystal Luster just wouldn't be the best, as I wouldn't be able to have 3 or more grade 2 greater units, or I needed that extra counter charge for my next turn play, or needed the counter charge for the Flogel play on that turn. So I'll go into my second one. He gets to do a free quad drive. He gets to counter charge 1 on swing, and he gets a crit if you have a face-up card in your G zone. So he does a lot in 1 card, and it's all free too. All you'd have to do is have a hard card with Blaster or Alfred in the name, which is, as you can take a guess, Your Majesty Lord Blaster right here. And then I also run a 2 of the Saint of Twins sword. So I do go into him sometimes. Sometimes he's my first stride if I don't have GB1 already active, or he's my kill shot stride. Basically, when he's boosted, you can call out 2, and when he's boosted while attacking a Vanguard, you counterblast 1, flip a card in the G zone, so you can flip anything. So you can flip like the Gant slot right here. And then you get to call up to 2 grade 2 cards from your deck to rearguard circle or shuffle. So it allows you to do that extra multi-attack. But it's the second part of the skill is what I really like, is whenever your rearguard is placed from the deck, he gives all units called from the deck plus an extra 5k power for each card face up in the G zone. So for example, we can go into, say we have the loop play right here, and we're trying to go in and push for damage. We can boost with the Barkle, swing like that, and then he'll go into Soul and call out a Blaster Blade from the deck, and that Blaster Blade is not only going to get the 3k from him, but he's going to get also the additional 5k for every G unit face up at that moment. And on top of that, since he will be on your Majesty level, most likely you'll get a counter charge out of it. So that's one cool play you can do. So that's why I like to run him. He does that extra multi-attack and just puts a lot of pressure on the opponent. And then we have the 1 Progenitor Dragon of Total Purity Agnos. I hardly ever go into this card, but the few times that I have been able to, it's actually helped out in the long run when games drag on more past your 3rd turn of striding. And being able to just not having to discard to stride, it's great. So if you feel like in the flow of the game that you can use a turn to go into this so you can set up the rest of the game with free strides, I recommend going into it. It does help out in the long run, but it's not necessary. You don't really need this card, and you can run something else of your choice. You can run another Gant slot if you want to. You can put in another Twin Sword if you want. It wouldn't hurt. Or another G-Guard. You can put in another G-Guard as well. So we also, for G-Guards, we have the 1 Divine Maskall. He allows you to get an extra 10k shield if you already have a GB face up, and you have a rear guard in the front row circle. So free G-Guards are nice. Then we have the 1 Isolde. Because your Vanguard is a blaster, you can use her. She can counterblast 1 to get 5k shield for every rear guard you have. If your opponent is not playing a deck that controls your field and they leave your field alone, you can have 3 rear guards more than likely. If you didn't do Majesty Lord's Blaster's ability, you would have 5 rear guards, and you would get an additional 25k shield with the whole field. So there have been situations like that. That's why I run her as a 1 of, and she has been pretty solid as a 1 of. Another G-Guard I run is the Little Great Sage Marin. When he's placed in Guardian Circle, since my Vanguard is a blaster, you can Soul Blast 1, search for any grade 1 or greater unit, call it to the Guardian Circle, and he gives that unit an extra 5k shield. So he can turn, for example, any grade 1 with 10k shield, and a 15k shield. So you guard with him, calls that out. That's a 30k shield right there. So, and you decked in 1 as well. So very good G-Guard. I know some people use the old grade 1 Sentinels with him. I've tried it in my deck, but every time I had a chance to go into this, I usually either damage or draw into the grade 1 Sentinel. So it never worked out in my personal play testing. But if you want to try that, go for it. It's nothing wrong with that. And then my last 2 G-Guards, I run the 2 Cray Elementals. We have Raktum and we have Dismal. Dismal protects your rear guards but from being hit, and they can't be chosen by card effects. And Rack Tome lets you discard a card to draw a card. So it's just generic G-Guards, can be used in any deck. If you have the extra slots to run them, I would, but they're not highly necessary. If I had to choose one to keep over the other, it would be Dismal for this deck because my Rearguard Blaster Blades are so important. Or I have like a Rearguard Lu that I couldn't do the skill that turn and they're being attacked. I can just guard it as well. So for combo pieces, I'd rather do the Dismal over the Rack Tome. And yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Let me show you some cool combos, guys. All right, so this play right here is mainly your kill shot player. This is the field that I try to set up when I'm able to go and try to go for the kill. So as you can see, I'm at GB3, so 1, 2, 3. Our Vanguard is the Majesty Lord Blaster. And we do have the Blaster Blade in the dark and the Soul, as you can see right here, right? So what we do is we have the Guard Restrict active. So we'll swing like this. This would be with the force markers, maybe a 19 and 29. But thanks to him, your opponent will have to drop 3 from hand at the same time to guard him. Which means if they drop a PG on top of 2 cards, if they want to do the PG skill, they have to discard another card. So it's potentially 4. So then he'll go into Counterblast 1. He'll go into Soul. You get to call out the Blaster Blade from the deck. You get to do your counter charge since your Stride does have the Heart's name, which is a blaster. Lu gave him an extra 3k. So he will swing. And then your opponent has to drop 3 to guard. Then you counterblast. The Flogel will go back into the deck. He stands back up, and then he swings again. After the battle, you do Flogel again. You put him back into the deck, shuffle. He stands back up. Then you can swing with your Crystal Luster. They have to drop 3 or more from hand. In this situation, I don't really put anything into Soul because I'm trying to get as much guard out of my opponent's hand as possible with the drop 3. So we do our drive checks. And let's say our drive checks weren't the best. Say it was just 3 MLBs like that. So 1, 2, 3. Then because you are on MLB, you get a 4 drive check. Boom. And if these were all triggers, you could separate them how you want. And then you swing with him first, drop 3. And then you swing with him last. So that way, if your opponent does survive all of this, you can put him on the bottom of the deck to draw another card. So that's pretty much my winning image. My kill shot turn when I'm trying to go in for the win. And let me show you some other plays. All right, another cool play is, say this is your hand right here. As you can see, I have the over trigger in hand. I drew him for turn, and my opponent did give me 1 damage, so we have the 1 to work with. So another play you can do is you can call this first, then you call that. You can counterblast the 1 to put him on the bottom of the deck. Since it is a non-grade 2 unit, put it on the bottom. Allows you to draw 2 cards, and then you may call 1 from hands. And let's say we call him, which is convenient because we already have him right here. So I can make this column right here to be a 19k attack on my grade 2 turn, or if I want to conserve hands, I can always just call him over here to make this 17. Since you were already going to call 1 from hand anyway, it allows you to draw an extra 2 cards, return your over trigger or any triggers you may have in hand, and then you get to call 1 card from hand. So that's another cool thing that I like to do with this deck. All right, so one of my favorite plays to do in this deck is when I hit to grade 3, say this is my hand right now, and I have this Field Feather Dragon in hand. I'm going first or second, doesn't matter. Let's say this whole writing up, I didn't get my blasters, right? I mean, there are games that it happens. So I get my grade 1, got my 3, but I didn't get my grade 2 blasters. Like, darn, that's not good. We need to get them fast. How can I draw a bunch of cards, or how can I search them out of my deck if possible? Well, we do have the Wingull that can hit, but that's already during the battle phase. And if we do get it, we won't be able to put it into Soul until next turn. So what we can do is we can call the Field Feather over here, and we can do his skill, which is Counterblast 1. You Soul Blast a 3. And then you draw for each open circle you have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 open rear guards. So it allows me to draw 4 cards. And then because I drew 4, I have to call 4. But in this case, I was able to draw the 2 blasters. So what I can do is I can set up a board like this. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now I'll be able to put the 2 blasters into Soul when he attacks, so I can get my extra 2 markers, put myself at 18k base, and be able to set up and ready to go when my opponent starts striding on me or starts attacking me on their turn. Instead of calling this, if you wanted to, because of this hand we drew into the crit, we can put it there so that Blaster Blade can do multi-attacks before he goes into the Soul. And it's also another way to put the crit back into the deck to add 1 more trigger there. So that's another play you can do as well. It was just a couple of plays I wanted to show y'all with the deck that you can really do, really spice things up. And hopefully you guys enjoyed some of these plays. All right, and that's basically my Majesty Lord deck profile for Premium for the Royal Paladin clan. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow as much as we can, so please, any support is greatly appreciated. Also, if you have any suggestions for the deck, any ideas that you want to just shoot out at us to make the deck even better, I'm all for listening, guys. I'm here to interact with y'all. Any messages y'all put, any comments, anything, I will be there to respond. So please, again, if there's anything that you think could make the deck better, if there's any recommendations for the channel, please let us know. We're here to support. We are here to support the community, trying to make the best videos that we can, and we can make it a whole lot better if people will just let us know like what kind of content y'all are looking for and of the such. But with that, Taicho signing out, guys. Again, hopefully y'all enjoy. Catch y'all next time. Later, guys.